Hey, if you're pregnant over 40, I have just the community for you. It's a private community away from Facebook where women just like you come together to meet and support one another during pregnancy. To sign up for the waitlist, go to over40fabulousandpregnant.com/waitlist and be the first to know when the membership is open. I can't wait to see you inside. Welcome to Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant. I'm your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 49. If you're looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, you've come to the right place. And today on the show, we have Coco from Nashville, Tennessee, who is sharing her story at 40. She has a beautiful story to share. She actually wasn't sure she wanted to have kids and wouldn't call herself a kid person. But one day she saw a sign and committed to motherhood. Her mother was sick while she was trying to conceive, and she didn't make it to see her grandchild. I lost my dad in 2018, and I can totally relate to losing a close parent. So much that I had the hardest time asking her any questions about it. I still have a hard time talking about it. But she has a sweet story about her mom and daughter. It's so cute. Now, for my update, the biopsy that I'm doing for the 2 tests are this week. Am I nervous? I'm really nervous about my normal nervous level. That's my baseline nervous level. I'm more excited to get this over with. Let's look at the results and let's get moving with the transfer. I'm really excited. This time my mom is going with me. One, I'm excited to spend time with her, but she also hasn't seen many of the renovations that we have done in our house because quite often we only have 1 bathroom. And that is the case this time for her visit. So that's going to be interesting. We're 1 bathroom down. And so that'll be fun. It's exciting to show her all the hard work that we've put in. And by we, it's mostly my husband. And I will let you know the results when I hear from them because I am ready to move forward. I'm getting impatient about this wait. Also, I am really excited about doing a show on believing for the 1-year anniversary show. I've already been doing research, so much research, and I've been doing the work myself. I figure if I am going to ask you to do work on believing on yourself, then I want to do the work first. And I want to understand. Now, I've been doing this work for a few years. Don't get me wrong about that. But I've never focused so hard on a specific feeling like belief. And so it's been really amazing. It's working so well. I have been in this amazing state of belief. One of my thoughts about believing is I believe that it's going to happen. And whether it's with this next transfer or next time or a spontaneous pregnancy, I am believing so hard, and it gives me this almost peace with that. The second feeling is really calm and relief that it kind of makes me relax a little bit, and that feels really good. And I can't wait to share with you, of course, If you are pregnant, one, amazing, congratulations. But this show still applies. Yes, we will be focusing on believing how pregnancy is possible, but this also applies to believing anything. So whatever you want to work on believing wise, this is the show for you. If you have any questions you want me to answer about belief, feel free to send me an email or DM me on Instagram. And one thing that I haven't mentioned in a while, if you were pregnant over 40 and would like to share your story, I would love to have you be a guest on the show. We have some great shows coming up, but I'm always looking for more guests and shows for the future. You can email me. You can always email me at jamie@over40fabulousandpregnant.com or DM me on Instagram. You know, this email is not some random email. It actually comes to my personal email account that I use every day that I see on my phone. So I'm always open to messages regardless, and I love hearing from you. And so with that, let's get into Coco's pregnancy story at 40. Coco, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
You were pregnant at 40, but before we get started with your story, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Coco O'Connor. That's my real name, not a nickname. My dad liked Coco Chanel, and I'm Irish by marriage. My name consists of 4 consonants and 1 vowel. So that's me. I'm the proud owner of Vintage Mama, vintagemamas.com, which is a community of moms who had children later in life, age 35 and older. And in that community, we have stickers and we have T-shirts and all that good stuff. In addition to that, I'm really an artist at heart. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been doing music and writing songs since I was 10, and just want to be Chrissy Hynde of the Pretenders. Now I'm just an old wannabe Chrissy Hynde of the Pretenders now. So that's me, kind of in a nutshell. If you like music, you can check me out on Spotify. Coco O'Connor. Remember, 4 consonants, 1 vowel, all O's, and you can find me there. So, and here's some music too. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And I'm a mom to a wonderful little girl named Quinn, and I've been married to my best friend for we just celebrated 25 years. It'll be 26 in November. Met him when I was 18. Knew what I had when I married him.
Congratulations on that.
We were just friends for like 5 years. And we were musical. He's musical. He's a musician, plays piano beautifully. And so we were just music. We had a kind of a musical partnership because he had a girlfriend from college. And I was this young 18-year-old into long-haired heavy metal guitarist at that time. And so he and I were just friends. And we got quite a history. And it's been fun.
Well, let's go back whenever you were 39.
Mm-hmm.
Take us back before you got pregnant.
Before I got pregnant, so I was 39. I was living in Los Angeles, California. I had a great corporate job out there, career. I'm actually, as I said, I'm an artist. So I actually learned a lot of marketing and how to build websites. I always like to say I was a content manager before content management actually became a career, because I'm from the dial-up days and I saw all of this stuff come to fruition. And I was just doing it for my art, and I was using the internet and, URLs and whatever I could back then just to get my songs out into the world. I couldn't afford to hire anybody to do it, so I had to learn to do it myself. I was building websites, and that just led me to a career. I kind of just stumbled upon it and stumbled in it. And of course I had always been into music. So I worked at various startups, and I was 39. I was out in LA. My husband and I were, it was kind of interesting because we had gone to LA because we were living in New Mexico where we had lived many years, but the economy crashed, as everybody know, in like 2008 or 2010 or something. And so we went out there really to kind of save the farm, as they like to say, where I'm from. And, it was very humbling because we had built a great life in New Mexico, and then we go to LA and it's like very different. I started as an intern at like a startup out there. I was the oldest intern probably, in the book, because I was in my 30s, right? It was crazy. But just because God just kept opening doors, and I got to work on campaigns for Paul McCartney and Paul Simon, some of my musical heroes, Alison Krauss, got to meet them, and that was really fun. And then we were living, I don't really know why, we just kind of never got around to it. It was always going to be this temporary thing. I probably get my story. It's like we go to these places and we move to these places and they're only supposed to be temporary, but they wind up being our home. I don't know why, but we were out in LA and we just had this little tiny basement apartment. We didn't plan to stay out there full time, but God had other plans. And it was so tiny, Jamie, and we were in this big house. It was the bottom of this huge mansion in like Hollywood Hills. And living above us was like 8 girls all, splitting the rent or splitting the whatever it was and living in their rooms. And they had this thing. And I'm in my 30s, right? And I'm just like, and these girls are, in their 20s. So they're hot. And I'm like, God, this is insane. I mean, of course my husband loves it because, it's fine, but for him, but we were just down there and they were girls in their 20s doing what girls in their 20s do. And so I remember there was just this day I went to get the mail and there was this magazine. It was Parenting Magazine was right there in the mailbox. And I'm like, there is no way that any of these girls are subscribing to it. I don't even know if I remembered, like if it had a name on it or anything, because I was so floored because I'd been thinking about it and thinking like, well, I guess I really need to get on this. I'm 39. And if I'm going to do this, I need to do it so that I don't have a toddler in menopause, because that seems like that would be really challenging maybe. And so I was like, I'd stopped taking my birth control pills because my husband and I were musicians and, we weren't like kid people, like, oh, let's have, we just weren't those. I think we were just like I had shared a little earlier that we were just like completely terrified because we don't come from, a good example of what good parenting or good relationships are between people. I mean, considering that we've been married and so long and we've got a successful marriage, is coming from where we came from is really a testament to God's goodness and grace and the Holy Spirit. But I found this parenting magazine and I'm like, okay, this is definitely a sign. So.
And do you think there was anything that helped you get pregnant? Like, did you do anything different?
I think no. My husband has this philosophy that I got pregnant when we were on our boat, because we had a boat there when we were out in LA. We had a boat that we had in San Diego. So we would go down there like on the weekends. So he likes to think that we got pregnant on the boat. I don't know if it's true or not, to be honest with you, Jamie, or if just his imagination. I didn't do anything like, I'm not like I wasn't trying too hard. So at that time, I was 39. My mom was really sick and I'm an only child. And so I kept telling her, like, please hold on, Mom, we're going to try to have a baby. You got to see the baby. And but she didn't. She passed away in January. And the January before I found out I was pregnant, which I found out I was pregnant in September. I went on to, I was 39. My birthday's in November, so I turned 40 and had Quinn in May of 2014, and I was 40.
I'm sorry about your mom.
Yeah, but I mean, it's heartbreaking, and I still miss her. I still cry.
So what made you take a pregnancy test?
I was sitting in this hot tub and out in Santa Fe, because we had a hot tub at our house there. And I remember not feeling like, I just began not feeling well. Like I didn't feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't feel like myself. Like this is weird. I just felt weird. And I just felt like a little nauseous, and it just, but I didn't feel like myself. I'd never felt this before. So as I told you, I'd stopped taking the birth control pills. And I think I had gotten a pregnancy test because, just in case. I'm not that good at like knowing when my cycles are, or like I'm not a very detailed person. So I couldn't really remember, but I was like, maybe I should just take, this. And I took it. And sure enough, it showed positive, which really scared me. And I really thought, well, maybe it's fake. Because as I said, we're musicians. It's scary. So I then went to this pregnancy center, which was actually, I got introduced to a wonderful network of people in Santa Fe. It was CareNet at that time. So they actually are, they help women with unwanted pregnancies. They try to help them have the babies. But this wonderful lady said, oh, well, we'll give you a pregnancy test. And ours is pretty accurate. So I was like, okay. So she gave me a pregnancy test. She was like, yep, you're pregnant. And I will sell that Roberta Cheek, the director of CareNet there, she really, because I didn't have my mom and my mother-in-law, we get along fine, but it's not like we're very different, but it's not the same. And Roberta was like so good to me. And she would tell me like, oh, well, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have these feelings. You're going to have this. And she's very like straightforward, but she really they were really great. I'm so glad I found them. They were just so supportive with everything, from clothing to like just everything. It was really great.
And so how was your pregnancy?
Wonderful. I had a great pregnancy. I've always run, or now when I say run, I'm not like a 8-minute miler at all. I just do it for my sanity mainly. So I try to get out at least an hour a day. Always have done it since I was 16, mainly because I had a hard time getting in shape for basketball season. So I was like, maybe I should just keep running because it's easier to stay in shape and to get in shape in every season. Right. So I just started doing that, and I kept running until probably about 6 months into my pregnancy, 5 or 6 months. And then I started just walking because I thought I've got to keep it up. I got to keep this up. The only time, being pregnant was great. The only time that I ever took naps was when I was pregnant, but it was really sweet time. I would always go around 3 p.m. I'd always go to my room and lay down and take a nap for about an hour. And I just remember like feeling, I literally one time Jamie was at the sink, and this was when this was when I was first pregnant, like those first 2 months, like it was like, I could not lift my arms because I was so exhausted because all of everything you've got is going into creating this little bundle. And so physically it was pretty draining for me. I did notice a lot of it, just exhaustion from that I'd never felt before. Because I've never been I've always been fairly active, and I fortunately have never had like problems, heavy periods that kind of put me in bed for like days or anything like that. My hormones, I never did have crazy hormone things until I got pregnant. Like that was the first time for me, it was like, oh, wow, these hormones sure are powerful. I didn't know how powerful they could be. Because like I said, I've pretty much always been pretty even keyed in that department. But yeah, it was great. And so I kept walking. I've been lactose intolerant most of my life, but the only time I wasn't was craved cookies and milk, and I could drink like a big glass of milk and chocolate chip cookies, and
wow,
that set me straight. Yeah. And
That's
so I had
neat.
no problems. With that. The only craving I really had was a spicy chicken and biscuit from Chick-fil-A. So that was about it. Nothing too weird.
What about nausea? Did you have any of that?
Nope.
Wow. You're one of the lucky ones.
Mm-mm. I didn't have morning sickness. I didn't have any of that stuff.
Wow.
The pregnancy is, I do remember seeing her little feet kick in my belly. That's really cool. It's really groovy when you can see that when it pushes out or it's out at it's out a weird way.
And how did you decide on your doctor? Did you just use the same OB you've been using?
No, actually, friends of mine from Santa Fe, we're very close with my pastor's wife and his family, his whole family. They're pretty much like family. They're like the family you really want, Sometimes friends can be better family to you than your own. And so they've always been we've been really close with them for a very long time. And they were like, oh, you got to get Dr. Wolfswinkel. That was Grace is about the same age as my pastor's daughter. So we're almost the same age. And they were like, you got to get her. She's delivered every baby in Santa Fe. And she was kind of hard to get into because Santa Fe is kind of it's not a huge city. It's kind of small. So she was not my OBGYN previously. And I think because I was pregnant, that's how come I got her. Because I don't think that if you're not pregnant, they're not going to give you the best. Yeah. So she was like the best and really good, excellent.
And was there anything important about your doctor?
She was very well known, very well, highly recommended. I had a friend who had been with her and was, said, you have to get this doctor. Santa Fe has its negatives about healthcare and stuff. So I was glad that I had her and they guided me to her. I feel like I had the best care in the world. So.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
What did you find out the gender during pregnancy?
I did. Yep, I did. CareNet again. I went there because they provided ultrasounds. Mm-hmm. So I did all my ultrasounds there, or I don't know if I did all my ultrasounds, but maybe a few. But I can't remember. I'm sure Wolfswinkel did them. But yeah, I did do ultrasounds. Got the pictures. Just saw the pictures. Actually, pretty cool.
Oh, neat. Will you take us back to that day? How was it finding out?
I don't know. It's like I kind of wanted to know, but not really. I'm sure my husband just wanted to know. And he probably was like, oh, let's just find out. So, well, let me just say this. It was interesting because I had in Los Angeles, I'll backtrack. Before I found out I was pregnant, I had this prophet come up to me on the street. Mm-hmm. And she started saying, she talks about doing stuff on the internet. You're going to do something really great on the internet. Oh, yeah. And then she said something about from your womb will come like, I don't know if she said kings, but it was boys, basically. Right. Mm-hmm. So when I got the news that I was pregnant with a girl, I was a little kind of taken back because I was like, wait. Was that a fake? Is that a false prophet? And have I been, I had like all of this stuff go through my head. And I was like, oh, this is really strange. This is really odd. But I mean, I had a little girl, so probably she's going to have a boatload of boys, right? And the prophet is not false or any of that. That was what kind of took me back. But what was cool about knowing it and doing it is we really had, it was so fun. My husband and I, we had this ritual. So we have a great restaurant that we love in Santa Fe. So after every doctor's appointment, we'd go have lunch at Cafe Pasquale's, which is phenomenal. If anybody's in Santa Fe, you have to go to Cafe Pasquale's for brunch or dinner, but we always went for brunch. And so we were there, and after every doctor's appointment, he took me, and it was really just a sweet time because I remember being at this one table, and our table, we call it, and picking out names or going through names and just having a real, fun time anticipating her coming into the world. So that was kind of a little ritual that we did. And yeah, after the ultrasound, that was what we knew it was a girl. We just started honing in on the girl baby names. Mm-hmm. So it was fun.
Is that where her name was decided at the table?
Yep, at the table, Cafe Pasquale. I usually have the smoked trout hash. That's my favorite dish there. It's now her favorite dish, which is awesome. And then I got a boatload of cookies afterwards because, as I told you, lactose intolerant, but I had cravings for cookies and milk. So I'd take a boatload of cookies home from Cafe Pasquale's after every doctor's appointment, wash them down with a big whole milk. So yeah, it was good. That's exactly, I remember we were like, what was that? I think we had some, but we just felt Quinn was a great name, and it is. It's been spot on. I think we were going for Dustin or something. I want to say something like, and there's what was it? It started with a D. That was the other one. We had like 3 or 4 we had picked out, but Quinn. And I did not give her a middle name because my husband and I both have middle names, and we go by them. I mean, my actual name's Coco, but it's not my first name, but I've always just been called Coco. But he's goes by his middle name too. And we just thought that's just so weird because like he started when we moved to Santa Fe, he started, going by his middle name. It was interesting. And so we thought, well, we're not going to give her that option. So she's got Quinn O'Connor, and that's it.
That's funny.
I kind of regret that sometime, but I actually wrote a song about, I got a song called Trophies and Tiaras, Trophies, Tiaras, and I Love Yous. And it talks about how, I wish I'd given her a middle name. That's actually the first one of the lines in it, but I didn't.
Was there any products that helped you during pregnancy that you could recommend?
I don't know if this is a product, but this book by Dr. Harvey Karp was Happiest Baby on the Block. That is the closest thing to an instruction manual that you can get with children. It was phenomenal. So I watched the video and I read the book like 3 times. And it talks about swaddling. It talks about what we did get, Jamie, this is what I got, and I highly recommend it. I got a hanging cradle from Denmark. Oh. So and I still have it. I mean, now you can turn it into a toy box. So it's a toy box now, so it's a hanging cradle. It actually hangs. It's got like a little curtains on it, little linen curtains. It was great because, like Harvey Karp says, you want to keep them when you first have a newborn. You want to keep them. You want to make the environment as close to the womb as it possibly can be, because when they come out, that's why they scream. It's like, it's cold. It's it's like, it's like so different, right? And everything's bright. I can't imagine, right? So anyway, I found this hanging cradle from Denmark. It was we shipped it over and set it up and put her in it, and that was one of the best products. And then underneath it, I put a white noise machine because that was one of his recommendations. And we swaddled her. We had her pattern. We had a swing. It was great. I mean, I guess maybe this is after that. Before I'm trying to think of products before. I think a lot of essential oils, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like I remember having a lot of lavender around, like stuff to really just calm me down.
And how did you prepare for baby and birth? Classes, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I went to. It's funny. I met somebody that I was in. We were back in Santa Fe over the summer. Someone who was in the same like birthing class or one of these classes. And they were like, that was pretty much useless, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, it was totally useless. So I don't know. Maybe there's some great ones out there. I went to a couple, but nothing happened like they said it would. And yeah, I don't know if I'd waste your time on that. The preparing, I got the hanging cradle. I like to do research. I think I was reading, was it Scared Chicken? That was a blog that I would read to just kind of like lighten the load because, I'm scared because I don't know what's happening. I don't have my mom. And so, yeah, I prepared I got the Bob stroller because I wanted to keep up with running after that. And that was the thing. So, I mean, I had a good time, I guess, shopping now that I think about it. I was just shopping for stuff. I mean, I did a theme. I selected giraffe for her theme as her room. We didn't really have, we lived in a recording studio, to be honest with you, Jamie. Like out in New Mexico, our house is half of it's our recording studio. The other half is just like big room. That's like just a big room that we used as our master. And so we have an upstairs loft that's in the studio, very unconventional. I didn't even get like a good rocker, Jamie, because we're very aesthetic people.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to look good, not necessarily feel good. And so I had like this old rocking chair that my husband had got. It's a great looking rocking chair. And I just went to Overland Sheep and I got like a big fluffy pillow in it. And this was what I nursed her in. I had teddy bear that was like a polar bear that I hung over the arm, and I would just hold her like that because it functioned. It looked cool. But I mean, it was not those. When I went into Toys R Us or Babies R Us and I sat in those, gliding rockers, I was like, oh my gosh, these are awesome. They're so comfortable. But my husband I was like, that's ugly. He's got to have it looking a certain way. He's got to have it like a movie. So we did that, but it worked out just fine. I mean, it was great.
And since you didn't have your mom, who was your support system?
Ooh, that was the toughie. And that was one of my reasons for creating Vintage Mama, the community. I had no one. I thought people at my church, I thought I'd have more of a relationship with people. I had certain people that I thought would be kind of more involved than what actually happened. I didn't have anyone. And we were out, my husband's family all lived back in North Carolina. We were out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, thousands of miles away. So my mother-in-law came, she was there for the birth. She came for like a week or 2 weeks, and then they went back. And then it was just me. And like, I had a gal, like I think the United Way out in Santa Fe, they would have somebody come for the new moms and, kind of help with, or like give you like handouts or something. It's like very schoolish or something to me. It was weird, but it was nice. They came out like once a week. I think not having any family, not having close friends. I remember a couple of breaks there here and again, but nothing, not like having grandparents around, not like I grew up. I mean, my grandmother was like very, very involved in my life. I was very close with them. So it was tough. That was a tough part.
Yeah. What about your pregnancy? Is there anything else you want to mention about your pregnancy before we move on to your birth?
I mean, I believe that if you can, staying active and just creating a, some type of physical activity is good. And if you can, I feel like that's really kind of what helped me. It helped me more mentally too. Napping was really new to me. I'm not a napper. I didn't like to nap, but I had to. And I actually, it was very enjoyable.
Well, let's get to the birth. Tell us when that started. How far along were you and how did it start?
This is the only time. I'm usually the queen of bad timing, but this is the only time I was spot on with my timing. So I had actually gotten a pedicure. My mother-in-law was out there. We had gone to get our pedicures and whatnot. My doctor said, she had notified me. She said, if you're not in labor, if you don't have the baby before Monday, I'm going to induce you. And so I was like, okay. So because she said, I'm going out of town for my son's graduation from medical school. So, hopefully the baby won't come this weekend. This was like on Thursday or something. I was like, okay. Well, Friday came around. We go to get a pedicure. And sure enough, at about 9:30, I start having contractions. And what was really cool about 9:00 came, 9:30, and I was like, I think it's time. And I'm like, oh, great. So I go, we hop in the car, they take me. I walk in, and as soon as I walk in, Jamie, my water breaks. As soon as I walk in the hospital, my water breaks. Like,
how far along were you?
Oh, I don't know, 9 months, whatever it was. Like I was full. I mean, Monday would be Monday would have been like June 2nd. She was born on May 31st. So that was the estimated, time. So I kind of fell right in there. I went in, they put me in a bed. They were like, well, your doctor's not here. She's out of town. I'm like, I know. And so they're like, well, we'll see if we can get somebody else, but we're going to just wait on it. So I went in at about 10 o'clock, probably, at about 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm like walking the halls and really having a lot of contractions and in a lot of pain. So I'm like walking around and I'm like being Miss Tough. I'm just walking because all I know how to deal with anything is by activity. So I just like walk or run, but I'm walking these halls. I just keep walking around. I just remember walking around and they're like, well, we can't give you the water bath, thing. You can get in and ease that, but your water already broke. So we can't do that. It was like all of the stuff that could have made me comfortable. Like I couldn't do because my water had broken. Right. So I'm like, okay. So I'm walking around. Finally at like 4 or 5, I'm like, I have got to have an epidural. This is, I can't do this. I'm like, what? You start going crazy, like screaming and all that stuff. And so like, I turn it, my kid's into Matilda now. So I turn into that lady, like, I'm not having contractions, I'm having contractions. And so a baby, I can't be pregnant. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm walking these halls and finally they call the epidural guy. He comes in. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was out walking my dog. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, crazy. So he comes in, gives me the shot, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So I feel all better. They put me in a room then after the guy gave me the epidural, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. They're like, well, we're trying to get in touch with Dr. Wolfswinger. We're still seeing if she. Then they told me one doctor was going to come do it, and then another doctor, but Dr. Wolfswinkle, she's back. So she came in. She had like got home late the previous night. So she came in at about, I guess 10. No, she came in at about 8 or 9, and she was like, okay, I'm back. We can do this. And so I'm laying there, and I've just been laying there, like, kind of doing nothing, right? And I turned to the nurse and I'm like, or I feel like, I don't know what it was, but I asked her, I was like, can I start pushing now? Like, is that allowed? Like, I asked her that. I don't know why. And so I start, and then the birth was pretty hairy. My husband started praying because my blood pressure went down. The baby's blood pressure went down. And I remember Jamie, like, looking out, and I was like, wow. I remember like almost seeing like the light. Like I thought, if this is dying, this is pretty cool. Like I was like, because it was like, I was like totally out of it. And I think what had happened is the cord had gotten around Quinn's neck. So they were freaking, everybody was freaking out. But I was just like on cloud 9 because I had the epidural, or I don't know what, and I'm just looking out, but my blood pressure was really, really, really low. And I knew something was up, but I'm out of it sort of. And then they came, and then the doctor came. And so I start pushing, and they get it back to normal. I don't know what they did, Jamie, really. I don't remember. But they get it back to where I'm conscious, and I start pushing, and then she says, instrument. And so they're like, instrument. She yells, instrument. So they go, and they have to bring forceps. So they bring the forceps, and they got her out with the forceps. And then after that, they laid her on my chest, and they try to help you get the boob going immediately, latching it. So fortunately, my boobs probably could have been models for the bottle makers, Johnson and Johnson bottle makers, because they are fine. So she just went right to it. And I mean, there was some tactic or, strategy that whoever the lactation consultant, gave me, but otherwise it was pretty, just natural, pretty natural. And I just, whenever I saw her, I just remember I just was like, oh, she's in my Southern accent from Alabama. Oh, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. That's all I said for like five times after she was born. She had black hair and, she's and blue eyes. She was. God gave me a beautiful, beautiful little girl. So, yeah.
And what were you thinking in those moments when she's laying on your chest?
I was just like, well, I was exhausted. So I mean, the tiredness that you feel, it's something you can't describe it. It's just, at least for me, I was so exhausted because I'd been up all night, and I think it was just, like I said, I just kept saying, oh, she's so pretty, so pretty. And then, I don't know if I wasn't really thinking, I didn't really think. I think they might have taken her after had me, her on my chest or whatever. I think they might have put her in a little bed beside me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she screamed a lot, if I recall. She gave me no rest immediately thereafter. And maybe my mother-in-law attempted to hold her or something. I can't really remember. I do remember my mother-in-law. They kept me in oh God, Jamie, they kept me in the room an extra day because I'm a geriatric mom. So they wanted to make sure that everything was okay. And I remember my mother-in-law like literally did not leave that room for like 2 days with me. It was so nerve-wracking. I was like, why is she still here? Can't my husband and her go do something? So anyway.
That's funny. Was there anything important to you, like cord cutting or delayed cord cutting or any skin to skin?
I don't remember any of that. I don't know if I request. I don't know. I didn't really.
Okay.
I seem to think. I don't know. I know. Did we keep I don't think I kept the cord or any of that. I thought maybe my husband was like, "Oh no, that's just too weird." I don't know. Okay. So I don't think I made a request. So
okay. How long was the birth? I know it was overnight. Do you know how many hours it was?
Yeah, she was born on 11 a.m. So I was in labor probably about 12 hours, 13 hours.
Mm-hmm. How was your recovery? I know using the forceps, that sounds like a painful recovery.
It was. And I don't even think anybody told me that that was why it was so painful. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that, I don't know. But yeah, it was extremely painful.
Yeah.
But there was some kind of stuff. I don't remember what it was. It was like numbing. It was like numbing stuff that you spray on wounds and, bad cuts and stuff like that to take the pain out. Man, I went through cans of that as much as I could. And then my mother-in-law was like, well, you need to sit in Epsom salt baths a lot. And so I did that. But yeah, I had a lot of bleeding afterward, which is draining. And just, between the feedings and then up all night. I mean, yeah, it was, and my husband was not somebody that would get up and, help me out. He was good about changing diapers, but like getting up and, walking her, taking her and any of that. He's not that kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So, the recovery was painful. And that was something too, Jamie, is like, I kind of regret it, but I mean, I knew people who were half my age at that time, but they would have them back to back. And I was like, I mean, I got out of the shower one time and while my mother-in-law was there, this was first couple of days at home and I almost passed out because I've had hypoglycemia in the past. And so it just between the bleeding and just the exhaustion and everything, I was just like, I almost like passed out. That was tough. And I remember just being in the shower, just the exhaustion that I felt. I was like, there is no way I could have another baby like immediately. This is just it's just too much, And I'm like, you're like what Harvey Karp says in that book. It's like you're in this drunk phase of haze or whatever it is. It's like, I so believe that having her at 40, I savored, Jamie, every single moment. Like, I'm not griping about getting up at 2 a.m. and feeding. I mean, I'm not griping about like her waking me up at 6. I just savored all those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I really, really enjoyed it. I did, I breastfed her. I had a really great time. I mean, I didn't really have any problems, during the pregnancy or after or anything. So it's just a really sweet time that I savored. And I think that's the benefits of being an older mom, especially if it's your first one. You just savor things.
Yeah.
Because you're more aware of time and how quickly it goes, because now I've got less in front of me than I do behind me. So, it's a very different perspective.
Mentally, do you think there was any depression going on there?
During the birth or pregnant or during the birth or
the recovery
or just afterward? The recovery. Oh yeah. I had some gal that was, I don't know what she was. She was maybe a doula, but I don't know how I got introduced to her. I can't really remember. But I met with her a couple of times because I did have some postpartum depression that I struggled with. Not terribly bad. I didn't have to get on medication or anything, but I had a carjacking occur. I was PTSD back in my 20s, so I had that to deal with, and I did experience some depression. I remember my aunt who is in Alabama. She's like, well, if you ever feel sad, you may feel overwhelming sadness sometimes. We don't talk about things in the South, though. We just kind of shove it under the rug. And she's like, you can call, if that's just totally normal, if you need. But I remember, not too, because I had PTSD before in my 20s because I was a carjack victim. And so I kind of went through a bunch of stuff then that was very, very deep and dark depression. I mean, I struggled with, suicidal thoughts at that time, pretty much stemming from the PTSD, because when you have PTSD, everybody has things, differently. But I did definitely have a struggle for a few years after that. But I was in therapy. And so I got therapy for that, which I'm glad, because I think that helped. I didn't go to therapy when I was experiencing some depression after the birth, but I do remember kind of talking to someone and just, it would kind of with me is like, if I would talk with certain people, I would just get I would just start crying. Like these waves of tears would just come over me. And that's what I kind of dealt with. Unfortunately, my sadness or depression comes out as anger. And that's where I wish I was just like a crybaby and just was crying and totally, because but I'm not. It rears its ugly head with me as anger. So I can say things that are pretty hurtful or something in it, and it's not that I'm trying to be mean. It's just that's how my depression comes out, which everybody's comes out differently. So I remember some really harsh time, my husband and I mean, it's very different. There's definitely a different dynamic when you have another baby in the house that changes things between us. It definitely changed things. And so that was challenging, but yeah, I did have some depression. Probably, I'd say 6 months afterwards, maybe 8.
And the therapy helped with that.
I had learned techniques back in the therapy with PTSD when I had it, some 20 years ago. So I would apply those techniques. A lot of those techniques was just things I'd learned from a therapy called EMDR, which is used with a lot of veterans and people who've experienced PTSD. So I would use those techniques, visualizations and stuff, prayer. I mean, I just, I think that it drew me close. It definitely made me closer to God because, I don't have my mom to call. I don't have anybody to call. And I'm like, I mean, there would be times where I would have this little bundle and I'd just be like, I do not know what to do. Holy Spirit, please tell me what to do. Like, I don't know how to, I mean, I just did that a couple of months ago and she asked me a certain question. I'm like, I don't really know how to answer that, Holy Spirit. But he came in and, help guide me. And a lot of it is, your instincts too, even if you are struggling, emotionally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing, bigger than therapy or anything, is prayer. I mean, that's what's gonna give you the best results.
Will you share some of those techniques that you learned?
Yeah. So EMDR is a lot of it has to do, like an EMDR, there's a little machine you can have. I didn't have the machine. I don't think I had the machine. It's you can also do it physically. So when you're EMDR, it's a machine you hold in your hands and it buzzes like one hand. It kind of creates this rhythm where it goes one hand back and forth, and it beeps in the ears. You put it in the ears. So what it has to do is it just kind of settles your mind so that you can, it's kind of a clearing of the mind. So you just kind of get it clear when you have rhythm going on like that and sound at the same time. It's buzzing in one ear, beep, 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 and it's vibrating the same on the same side, or the hands at the same time. So that was one thing I learned tapping is a good thing if you don't have the little machine, that's good. And so that would just kind of calm my mind down, and then just visualizing when I did this therapy session, like I said, it actually just is a clearing of the mind so you can quiet all the stuff that's going on inside of you. And this happened later, but you can use it with like the same, premise when you're praying. You can say, hey, I still do it. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, hey, Lord, I'm just asking you to quiet my mind, Holy Spirit, make me have, quiet my heart. And I want to make it so that it's a peaceful, clear area. And, there's no anxiety, so that so I can hear your voice. And then the mental picture that you have at the same time is like, because I was taught this much later, but it's kind of like what EMDR teaches you. You put a mental picture of what you want. Like if I want to walk with Jesus, I'm walking with Jesus in my mind as I'm saying those words. I'm clearing my mind, but I'm visualizing the scenario that I want to be in. And I'm walking with him, through a field, or usually through a field, and he's got a purple robe on. And so that's what I kind of do with that. And that technique is kind of what I did the same, same deal is just, you're holding this baby and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to visualize, I'm just going to calm my mind. I listen to a lot of spa music too, Jamie, to be honest with you. I have music going a lot. I love Enya and all this kind of stuff. So I kind of have that atmosphere created. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I dealt with, that's one of my techniques that I dealt with. That, spa music, essential oils, all that good stuff.
And what has been your biggest challenge being pregnant in your 40s?
I think the biggest challenge is the lack of support from having my mom or family around, not having that grandparent. Even with, it was just not having that. It pretty lonely, to be honest with you. Just the loneliness was very hard. Interestingly enough, and I just showed Quinn this year when we were I just showed it to her over the summer. My mom had left her Bible, and on the front page, and she passed away in January, but she wrote, "I give this Bible to my granddaughter upon my death." So I like to think she saw her, in heaven, and they hung out or something.
Definitely.
She also bought her like this beautiful little blue coat that only my mom would buy. And so it was really, really sweet. So I hold on to that because that to me is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, God must have told her, or they met in heaven or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the challenging part. One of the challenging parts is not having the grandparents around, not just for, parent, helping you parent, or, I mean, gosh, there's so many days I wish I could just call my mom and be like, what would you do? But I can't. And the in-laws are not the same. So not feeling like you could talk to anybody, or you could just pick up the phone. And, I mean, I'm an introvert anyway, and from the South. So, I'm always probably a little too self-conscious about airing my dirty laundry or whatever, or asking for help. I think the biggest thing is just asking for help, or, just feeling like you can talk to somebody. As a mom in your 40s, you're not, and as a first-time mom, especially in your 40s, there was just nobody that I felt like. I mean, I had a friend who had just had, like I said, my pastor's daughter, she had a baby. She was the same age as myself, but she had already had 4 other kids too, or 3 other kids. So she's got a different take on it than I do. And that's what was I think the lack of community, the lack of support was the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. And the other one was, I had a pretty cool career before. And then I have this little person, now I'm like, this kind of happened, I guess, much later, but it's like, do you know who you're talking to? Do you know what I did before you? Like, I was with Paul McCartney on his campaign. I got like autographs from the Pixies. It's like, it's like, I don't know, you get to, there's a whole, it's not a challenge, but I do feel like that it's very important that you allow yourself a grieving process, if there is a grieving process, because it's kind of like, that's what I talk a lot about, or talk a lot of times. It's like we've had these whole lives, it feels like, before we had, at least being a first time mom at 40, it's like I had a whole life that was all really set, because it was so long in that life. And then I have now this new life at 40, which the challenge is, oh, well, you have more of the subconscious thing, I think, going on. You have a lot of more subconscious energy going on, like, oh, well, what if I don't make it to 60? You know what I mean? It's like, you're all like, there's this, a lot of it is just, I think it's kind of like how, older people sometimes get more fearful as they age. It's like you've got that extra layer that you're always kind of, you have to be aware of, so that you can fight against it and you can stay strong against it, because you have to be around. You're just not, you just have to. So you gotta make it, you gotta address that. So that's the biggest challenge, I guess, just the lack of community.
You mentioned in your recovery that you knew you didn't want to have more kids. Did you feel that way later, or did you always have that feeling?
Well, 2 parts. I kind of regret it now, to be honest with you. I wish I would have, but I just talked to my friend Nina, and she's like, it's hard if you don't have, she's the grandma to her daughters. She's a lot younger than my mom was, or my mother-in-law is. My mother-in-law is, in her 80s. It was also, my doctor, to be honest with you, Jamie, was considering kind of the birth, how I could have died. I mean, my blood pressure got really, really low. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of advised against it. And her main reason was, my husband's 7 years older than I am. So if I was having he's going to be, I'll be 6, or what is it, 18, 17. He's going to be 64 when she graduates high school. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, if you have another one, he's going to be 70 or could be 70, right, when they graduate high school. And I think her whole premise was, you're pretty much going to be like raising this child by yourself.
Your doctor said that.
Not in that way, but she was right, because my husband is 56 now. Mm-hmm. And when they're older, like, I'm very, very, very much raising my daughter. He's not. It's she could see that because she retired actually like 2 years after she delivered Quinn. So she sold her practice, interestingly enough, because she was a veteran. She was very, very experienced, but I mean, she'd been there for like 30 or 40 years. I don't know. I don't feel like my doctor did me a disservice. I think she was actually looking out for me because I've found that to be the case. Like I do pretty much, a lot. I'm taking her here, taking her there. I mean, and then my
is there anything you'd recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth?
I just say be good to yourself, make time for yourself. And I think it's important to keep doing what you've always done and not like lose yourself and try to become, like I'm not the kind of person that's gonna I am not getting a minivan. My dream car has been a Tesla. So he got me a used Tesla, which this was before they went crazy expensive. So, I mean, he's really a good buyer at that. So we got it for like a great deal. And this is the thing, Jamie, too. Interestingly enough, to prepare for pregnancy or birth, I mean, I guess this stuff is more after it, but I guess to prepare, just like, yeah, things are different. Things are going to be different. You can't really prepare for that. You just kind of have to go with it. There's nothing you can really prepare for it. But I just say it's so important to make time for you and not worry about what anybody else says or not worry about if anybody else needs your attention. You got to, take care of yourself because you sure can't be present if you're not taking care of yourself. And I think sometimes like even myself, like basic bodily needs, physical needs, like whatever you like or have around, or like with myself, I struggled with hypoglycemia. So if I don't, keep my energy levels at a certain level, then I get really grumpy and I'm, and it just makes for a bad experience. So you got to be mindful. I think it's very important to stay mindful and to be present, which is very easy to say, but extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
But I do think that women in their 40s, with children, have an ability or are more mindful and can be more present and in the moment is what is very important. That's the strength. If you can, and that's for any age, really. But I think, because we have this certain subconscious thing going on and we're so aware of time and how time quickly, we can really savor the moments and just really enjoy our children, I think sometimes more than if you were younger. At least I think I did because, I'd done a lot of stuff. I mean, my husband and I had seen a lot of stuff, done a lot of stuff. And so that's all I would recommend.
Okay.
Be mindful, be present, and try to practice that.
Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
If I were to go back, I would give my advice. You're going to be so exhausted, but I think I would probably say you're going to be exhausted, but the energy will come from somewhere. You might want to try to have another one. So, because my daughter would, and each kid's differently. Like my Aunt Ruth she was always like, oh, Susan never did want any kids, siblings or anything. My daughter, on the other hand, is like a social butterfly. She's like, Mom, can you please get pregnant? Can you please give me a baby? We can adopt. We can foster. I'm like, honey, there's a lot more to this than than you know. And so I think though that's just her being bored. If she really actually had it, there's fights and all this stuff. So,
oh yeah, she wants a playmate.
A lot different. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't really want a sibling. She wants a playmate. So yeah. So that's I think that would be the advice I would give myself.
And what would you say to those other women in their 40s that are trying to get pregnant?
I would say stop trying and just really be good to yourself. Not be so hard on yourself. Just give yourself a break. This guy, I remember, he was like, well, sometimes when you're the thing that you want so badly, if you're chasing it, has a way of running away from you. But that always stuck with me. I think if you're trying, great, keep trying. That's the fun part, right? But like, it's important to have a peace about it and not an anxiousness about it. It's going to come. And the thing about it, Jamie, too, is I believe in miracles, and I believe God loves babies and wants to bless people with babies. To keep believing, and that God wants that, and that He's for you, but He also knows His perfect timing. My advice is to just really take that desire, that need, that seed of faith, and give it to God. I just think it's so important not to be so hard on yourself. You know, if you're trying, you may have an idea of how it's going to look, or you may have an idea of your timing, or you may have a certain date that you want it to happen by. But for some reason, it's not, God doesn't have that. That's not His best for you.
And where can our listeners find you on the internet? Tell us everything.
So yeah, everything. So you can find me a couple of places. If you're a mom and you've had children, or you want to have children later in life, I have Vintage Mamas. That's plural, vintagemamas.com. There's a Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group. There's also, if you want to get a sticker, it's a pretty cool sticker, or t-shirt club, you want to know more about that, it's vintagemamaclub.com. And then if you are interested in hearing my music, you can go to cocoo'connor.com, and you can check out my music there. And then I also have the Vintage Mama podcast that's everywhere as well, if you want to check out some episodes and some other stories of moms who've had children later in life. So that's pretty much where you can find me. So.
Awesome. Coco, thank you so much for sharing your pregnancy story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That wraps up another amazing episode on Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant podcast. If you want to be a part of the show, I would love to hear what you have to say. I want to add these messages at the end of the 1-year anniversary show, which is coming up in October. To do that, I have a link in the description, or you can go to the website, click on Contact Us, and click on the orange button. I would love to have you be a part of it. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.